Yeah, because it's hardly a week goes by that somebody doesn't ask me about the recordings, and if they're not there, people go looking for them. So the other thing I was just looking for in the other computer is I know there should be a new issue of On the Air coming out, and Mackenzie was going to have an article in that, I thought. Trying to find it on the league website. It's just there's so much stuff there, you can't find what you need half the time. Anyhow.
And Mary Lou, I just sent you a message in the chat. If you could just answer that.
Sure. What are the dates? I never saw the dates.
We leave May 28th. It's a Tuesday, and we come back May 31st. It's a Friday.
Sure.
Great.
Hey,
Well, here's
Gary,
some good news.
page number
Yes.
is 16 and on the air for the Solar Eclipse QSO party, if you're looking for it.
Yeah, I just found it. You did there's your article in the On the Air magazine this month. Supposedly that should have just come out. So fantastic. Let me see if I can put, or so maybe can you share your screen? Do you have it up by any chance?
I don't have it up. I pulled it up on my phone really quickly.
Okay, I'll try and pull it up if I get a second here. But that's a pretty cool article. I like the graphics and stuff that they put in there. All right, I'll try and do that in a second. Let me see what I was trying to cover today. Oh, one of the things, I wonder if we can, let me share my screen again. If we can decide what we're going to do here. Let me get back to Zoom. Do a share screen. Anywho.
Oh yeah, the card.
Yeah. So I took, Nathaniel sent me the high-res files for both our image, the ham site logo, and so on and so forth. So that's been cleaned up. I went back and forth on the wording here, and I think I settled on what Mary Lou, what you suggested: participate, explore, discover. And we've got so one of the things we got to decide is if we do want to go forward, that's great. And the other thing is we've got to pick a front side and a back side, because the front side gets a glossy coating, and the back side is more of a matte. So I printed a couple of these out and just put them in a stack on my desk to see what they would look like. And I thought that this actually really seems like the front of the card. When you present it to somebody, it's got our logo, our website, a little bit about what we're about, and our QR code. And the back is more explanatory. So my suggestion is make even though it's black and white, maybe not as eye-catching, the logo is pretty cool. Making this the front of the card and the glossy side. Is anybody having an opinion on that?
Send it to the printer.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. All right. I forget what the price was for a couple of thousand cards. Let me take a quick look at the Randy's website on the other computer. But if that's the case, I'll get him going and send him the files, and he'll work with Salisa to get the credit card to pay for him. So let's see.
Sounds good to me.
It'll be good for Dayton. Yeah. Let's see. So there's all his samples. Click here for pricing. The business cards, yeah, 1,000 cards is 65. So 2,000, I'm sure, would be about double that. So I was right, about 130 for 2,000 cards. So the nice thing is these aren't time limited. These are timeless, I guess. So if that seems reasonable, I'm sure we'll give out 300 or 400 at Dayton alone. So
yeah, I think that's great, Gary.
Okay. Thank you.
I think they're beautiful.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, that takes care of one thing off the list. The other thing, speaking of Dayton, we don't have to go into it all today because I know we're busy and we're frazzled, and I'm still trying to do things for Monday. Just when it comes, at some point, we've got to think about what we want this call to evolve into. because we're not going to be doing a lot of solar eclipse QSO party planning in the future.
I have
That's
thoughts on
one
that.
thing. Oh, sure, go for it.
Well, we are in the process of onboarding a new postdoc. So the postdoc, I believe his name is Kuldeep, and he has officially started working at the New Jersey Institute of Technology. And I invited him to be on this call today, but unfortunately, for us, he still is out house hunting in New Jersey. So he's trying to find a roof to put over his head. But what I would like to see is I'd like to see this time slot evolve into an analysis discussion of everything we've learned from the solar eclipse QSO party. So I think that's a major thing I'd like to see. And I'd like to see figure out ways to get the people on here to help do that analysis. And then, of course, we can still use some time to talk about, if we want to do future campaigns or where we want to go in the future. But I think a large part of this time, we want to actually spend on looking at the data that we actually collected with the solar eclipse.
Yeah, I agree with that, Nathaniel, in a big way, because, there's a whole lot of data that I seem to be in charge of. And some guidance would be really useful in terms of where you want to go with it.
And what's nice is we also, last week we met Cam on this call, W7CAM. So Cam has a PhD in nuclear magnetic resonance, NMR physics, and he's working more in industry right now, but he's interested in doing analysis as well. So I talked to him last week, and he said that, we like Gary's suggestion of having him help start with the scoring, but then he's also going to help our new postdoc with the analysis as well, because that person, the new postdoc, really won't have a lot of experience with ham radio and probably won't be very familiar with our data sets. So I think it'll be a really good opportunity for us to try to work together to understand what all of this means.
I don't think you'll get any arguments. I know Mary Lou loves her data, and she's nodding up and down, so.
Yeah.
Learned that at the workshop.
That's a really important part of this.
No, to me, that makes a lot of sense because we evolved into collecting it and getting all that stuff together, and then now we're gonna make use of it. So
Right.
no problem there at all. But what my suggestion would be to take next week off because we're gonna be all frazzled after Monday. But if we want to restart and kind of a new format the week after that, would that be reasonable?
Sounds good to me.
All right. So we'll make a major decision. We'll take Thursday the 11th off, and as of the 18th, we'll come up with a new name and goal. If you want somebody else to lead the calls going forward too, Nathaniel, that's fine with me. Whatever you want to do is okay with me. But
Why don't we see what's that, Mary Lou?
Make Gary do it again. I think he's terrific.
I would be very much up for that, Gary. What I want to make sure is that you as a volunteer don't get burned out. So if you want to keep leading these calls, we would love to have you. If you want to pass the torch on to someone else, that is very understandable also.
well, let's put it this way. I would be glad to take it for a while, and we'll try a kind of a transition period. And if I'm doing a good job and you guys want to keep me, that's fine. And if you decide that maybe there's somebody better, we can decide that at a future date. I'm okay with that too.
Yeah. One thing that I'm very interested from the ham-sci perspective. So I've talked about this a number of times. A very traditional way of doing kind of crowdsourced science is that you get a whole bunch of volunteers to collect all of the data, and then they send that data to a bunch of scientists, and the scientists go in a room and they try to write papers and publish on that. And I think one of the things that we want to do here in ham-sci is break that mold a little bit and make the whole process more collaborative. So it'd be really interesting to try to work this project up. So certainly our postdoc needs a first author paper for his career, But if we can figure out a way to effectively work together to bring papers to publication as a team of volunteers and scientists together, that would be really fantastic.
Well, I'm always up for doing new things and trying to do things differently because you may get a great result and by taking a different path. So
Well, with me being at sea for this eclipse and then again in September, October, there's a partial eclipse that's going to occur. No, it's an annular eclipse that's going to occur at Easter Island that hopefully I'll be on the ship for that. My shotgun approach of just making a call and seeing who answers and get a grid square, is that going to have any validity for anything?
For this eclipse?
I'm sorry?
For this eclipse?
For this eclipse and for the one in October.
Well, that approach is certainly the whole approach that the Solar Eclipse QSO party is taking. So the Solar Eclipse QSO party does have a little bit more of a random big data element to it. So I think with that particular approach, it may be viewed that any one particular data point might be difficult to say, okay, that's particularly useful. But the thing is, when you combine everything together, it gives us a data set that's very rich that I believe we can find things in. So I think it is useful, and I think that's a fine approach.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
well-
amount of data just boggles the mind. There's on the order of 100, what is it, 100 million data points a day coming in now from the Hamsai worldwide people talking to each other. I mean, it's just amazing. And you can get stuff out of the aggregated data that you can't get out of single ones, except from Hawaii. So, John, see if you could talk to Hawaii, or
Okay. Yeah.
they are
Well,
out
I
in the
don't
middle
know.
of the ocean, and that's a very interesting point.
I tried to check into the Maritime Mobile Net that meets on 14.3 last night, and apparently there's been all kinds of um, uh, solar fluxes, changes, and all kinds of solar aggravations. All he could get me, and he was on the West Coast, the net control, and he put me down as weak, barely readable, and I was just maybe 40 miles outside of the Los Angeles harbor. So he said that it's just been abominable propagation wise. So I don't know how well, if this is going to it'll be interesting to just see if I'm getting any grid square reports from people during their portion of the eclipse and also for my portion. It just might be nice just to pin little pins on a wall map on grid squares and just see, what sort of distribution. So I'm going to be trying. And it starts at 9 a.m. local time here. And so I'll go all the way and hopefully try to make somebody in the Maritimes part of the exchange.
well, I think something you said, John, resonates with what Nathaniel said earlier is you get on the air, make your QSOs, keep a good log, and afterwards do some plotting or do what you said, pins on a map or whatever. And we sure would like to look at that. And as he said, some of us, I'm like you, I'm a citizen science like you are, see what kind of conclusions we can come and raise and bring it back to the group.
Yeah, I was hoping to try to do some of the time delay of arrival that Steve Serwin was doing the other day and a couple of 3 days ago, and try to participate on that if possible. So we'll see how it does. There's again, it could be just like the last eclipse cruise that I took. It was totally overcast. So yeah, but at least I got to record the changes that went on, and I sent those up to uh, oh Lord, one of our other members, and I forget what her name, Christy. Well, anyway, it was impressive to me. There was a definite shift in propagation. So
So do you have
clouds are
the,
not.
so John, do you have the chirps recording from Steve Serwin to use?
Yeah, I sent him one that I made, and he said that was from. Oh Lord, I've lost track. I'll have to go look and see what the dates were on that one. But that was, uh, oh Lordy, maybe
At any
the
rate, did
2017.
he send you one of the new chirps to
Yeah,
try?
but no, I haven't been able to get. I haven't my schedule wouldn't coordinate with any of his stuff, so I wasn't able to copy any of it. The one thing I did learn from the lecture today, this morning, was a new use for a colander. Pointed at the the sun and put a white sheet down on the ground and look at the images that way. It gives you the patterns, just like on a bush of a leafy bush plant will have all those little portions of the approach to totality on them.
It's really wonderful on a sidewalk. That you just see all these little crescents dancing around under the
Yeah,
tree.
yeah.
Really fantastic.
So, well, everybody's going to have their own nice experiences with it, I hope. And, you know, uh, after I don't know what's coming on after uh, the cruise in September, October to Easter Islands. I guess I've become an Umbra file.
Yes, you're a number
Uh,
file. So I have something
yep.
else for you, John, that makes you really unique. One of the things I tell people for an eclipse is to pay attention to the sounds around you. And in particular, birds stop chirping during totality, and the crickets stop chirping during totality, and it gets suddenly very quiet. So I don't know anything about seagulls. And I wondered if you could pay attention to the seagulls, because there must be ones around the ship, and ask, do they get quiet during totality as well?
Well, I will do about the only thing. I haven't seen any birds at all. And like I say, we're probably opposite Baja. Now we go to Cabo San Lucas tomorrow and make a stop there. So the location that they're going to be, I think if it's more than 50 or 60 miles off the shore, the bird population is going to be minimal, if any, that far out. There may be an occasional albatross, but you don't seem to hear anything from them. But I will keep a look.
Do you see dolphins or anything like that?
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Again, I've got an aft facing cabin. I don't know if, let me see. Let me turn this video on. I don't know if is that showing up through the cabin door onto the balcony.
No.
No, it isn't. I thought, I don't know. It's like I said, we're at 104% capacity, and I may have just knocked myself off the air. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, the internet is awfully slow, and it's just I'm surprised that I'm even getting through. and I don't think the cameras. I don't think I've got the bandwidth for the camera.
Right. So another type of animal that's on your ship is people. So we'd ask, please take a couple of pictures of all these people facing the same direction with putting glasses on.
With their glasses, yeah.
Yeah,
They
yes.
Princess
See if you can get
has
something that
gone
would be
to
different than what we would see on the ground here.
yeah. Well, Princess has gone to great expense to provide every one of their passengers with a free pair of American optical sunglasses that are made in Memphis. So yeah, I will. That's a good idea. Get the crowd shot.
Or something unusual in the background, the funnel of the ship, or a big swimming pool or whatever you see that's different.
Yeah.
We're
Okay.
we're gonna have trees and grass, that's all. Maybe snow where I'm going, I don't know.
Well, my thinking is my companion on this trip is going to be up on the deck since she doesn't want to be listening to me calling CQ CQ. So I'll have her do all the photography work. She
Yeah,
takes
that'd
better
be
pictures than
great.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And it's especially good if you get I don't know, are there any small children on this boat?
oh Lord, that's the worst part about it is that people have taken kids out of school and it's like an Easter vacation for a lot of them or spring break or whatever, but there are kids all over the place and you
So
can't
ask
get on
her,
an elevator
yeah, ask
without
her
all
to
the
look
buttons
for
being
a
pushed.
cute kid wearing glasses and their mouth open in surprise, going, oh.
Yeah. I'll tell. Okay. I'm making some notes on these so I don't forget to tell her. So yeah, but, try to make it as an all accompanying experience as possible.
Right. Oh, it sounds great. You have fun. Who are the two speakers this morning that you thought were so good?
Let's see. One was called Matt Waddell, I believe, Weddell. He writes a column for Sky and Telescope about using binoculars for astronomy, and he's got 3 dinosaurs named after him. He's a paleontologist, and very, very, very knowledgeable about Earth and sky, and talking about what you can and cannot do with binoculars and why you should use them. And the other one, where her first name was Shelley, and I can't remember her last name. She had a very animated and very interesting presentation. But basically, there are some facts like sun and sky and moon. There's a 5-degree angle difference. That's why we don't have them every month. And it's just. Then there was the back in the olden days, if the astrologers didn't get the eclipse date right, they were stoned, literally, and all kinds of interesting little facts pushed into her presentation. So, but
Yeah, and there were two in China many centuries ago who got beheaded because the emperor was upset at them getting the eclipse wrong.
Well, but it's just amazing the enthusiasm of the audience. It was just really, really unbelievable. So enough from me. Back to you, Gary.
All right. I did find Mackenzie's on the air article, so let me share that real quickly. That's not it. There we go. This out of the way. Come on. These Zoom controls are the worst thing during a Zoom meeting. There we go. Mackenzie's got a nice 2-page spread, and we supplied the league with a couple of pictures from some students down at Georgia Tech, I think it was.
What are they doing? Do they have binoculars there? What is it they've got?
No, they just set up a station outside, back in October. The binoculars, that's the next picture.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, so anyhow, so Mackenzie did a very nice article and, about the event and perfect timing, just a couple of days before. So anyhow, if you want to see the picture, that was my Eclipse viewer back in 2017.
Nice.
Yeah, it worked. I could see sunspots and everything else on the disc, believe it or not. So I'm
Is
Well,
that
that
half,
picture
half
is-
a binocular or what you got there, or a little telescope?
that's a pair of pretty good sized binoculars. Yeah. And
There was
unfortunately
a picture of that. Excuse, yeah, there was a
The,
picture of that similar in the meeting that we had this morning. How
I
not
figure
to-
Rube
to-
Goldberg would be proud of this one. So
Yeah, well, it's not how to not burn a hole in your glasses or your retina.
well, there was a comment too, wherever I got the idea for this from years ago, that they said, don't leave the binoculars on exposed for a long period of time because they'll heat up inside. So I kept
Yeah.
opening and closing with the cap. So, but I'm trying to recreate it. I no longer have the tripod. We got rid of all our camera equipment. So I found an antenna tripod that it's gonna be cloudy anyhow Monday. It may not matter. So anyhow. Nice.
So John, something else to do.
Yeah.
If you're in a place where you don't have a colander and you don't have any trees with leaves that move around, is to make the pinholes with your hands. That's what people do out in farms, where you just put your hands like that, crissy-crossed,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was
and then
that
project
was a-
that on the ground, and you get your own solar crescent, and you just move your hands around.
Yeah.
It's fun to do.
Yeah. Well, this Shelley, she spent more than half of the presentation protecting your eyes. Apparently, everybody on the ship is really worried about that. That somebody is, going to get out there with no hat and wearing flip flops, and they'll get lobster burns on their feet, and then they'll be imbibing too much, and then they'll be looking at the sun through sunglasses, and I think risk management in Santa Clarita, California is really sweating this trip because Princess has got 2 ships that are going to be solar eclipsing. This one and another one up closer to the Panama Canal. But it'll be fun.
All right. Well, one other thing I want to discuss a little bit, or at least bring up, just mention, is between this call and more importantly, probably the grape call earlier on Thursdays. I think we want to get our stories together, what we're going to say about HamSci, what we're going to be doing in the near future for the Dayton Hamvention, because we're spending a fair amount of Yasmi's money to get a booth. A bunch of us are traveling there and all that sort of stuff. And it's a great meeting spot, a great place to rest and meet each other at Dayton. But I think the people that come by the booth, I want to be able to give them some good information about HamSci, get some of them excited, and get more people to sign on to what we're doing. So I think a large part of that's going to be figuring out what we're going to do with the grape 2, especially going forward, because about once every other day I get an email asking me where somebody can buy a grape 2. People want them, but obviously that's not the position we're in right now. But hopefully on Thursday mornings between now and May 18th, we can talk about that a little bit. And now that we've got a plan for this call going forward, I think that'll be a helpful thing too. We can talk about this call once we come up with a name for it and some of the activities we're doing. So maybe we can get more people like Cam, who've got a background in data analysis, that are willing to help and jump in. So that'd be a good thing. All right. Gamal, it was good to see you as well. All the way in
Thank
from
you.
Egypt. Finally,
Hey, Gary.
good to
Hey,
see
Gary,
you
how are
after
you?
many email exchanges. Welcome.
Hey, thank you. So, Nathaniel, how are you?
Oh, hey Gamal, how are you?
I'm fine,
Very
thank
well.
you so much. Thank you.
Good
Finally,
to see you.
finally, that is the only telecom meeting that came out 10 p.m. from my local time. All are
That's
about
great.
4 a.m., 3 a.m., which is very, very hard for me. So I found it a very chance for me to join you in this nice meeting.
Very nice
Okay, I know
to hear
you,
you too.
you pay attention to the Hamside Google list, and we talked earlier, we're gonna be renaming this meeting, but putting more of a science focus going forward, talking about analyzing some of our data and results. So I think that will be very interesting to you going forward.
Yeah.
So we'll take next week off and then start on a new mission, I guess, on April 18th. So.
Okay.
All right. Any other discussion, questions, comments before Eclipse Day? Otherwise, we'll call it a day. Gary, yes.
Yes, real quick. I was talking about 11:30 at night. Most probably everybody on here has talked with Bill in South Africa. Charlie or Zulu Sierra 6 Charlie Yankee. And I've been talking to him now for 3 years. And when you call, he comes, he knows who you are. He says, "Oh, before GH Gary is last time we had a discussion was our QSO was so many months ago or something like that." So I asked him how my signal was coming in because I did some repair work on my inverted V, and he said, "You're coming in at a 5x5 here." He says, "I've got a lot of QRM." He says, and of course the usual pile up. And I said, "Well, look," I said, I'd like to try an experiment. I've got both of the chirp signals in my keyer here, voice keyer. And so I said, I want to play some chirp signals that we're using for the Eclipse." And I said over the weekend it was done. I tried it a few times and see if it makes a difference over long distance signal wise. So I hit him with the first chirp signal with the Morse code in it. And then I hit him with the second one. And he says that he was hearing my phone voice at around about 5.5 on the signal. But when the chirp signals went out, he said they were pushing 5.9 plus in South Africa. So those signals definitely do get out, and they're going to be heard. So that's what I've got. It was just kind of interesting how many signals it jumped, and I'm running 100 watts barefoot.
And that's a good comment because the Steve's TDOA event has kind of picked up steam in the last couple of weeks. We've had another, maybe a half dozen or a dozen people show interest, sign up through the website. Steve, of course, had a test run last Saturday. I think it was pretty successful from what I've heard. And just today, I've been working on a website. He just added a pre-event checklist. So if anyone is planning on operating in the TDOA event on Monday, exchanging either transmitting or receiving those chirp signals, check out the TDOA page on the Hamside site and see what Steve has added. So there's about a 4-page PDF, times and frequencies and operating hints and whatnot. So that should be helpful. Okay, is that it? We're all good for and ready for the Eclipse. And it's the matter. I know I'm gonna have a minor Eclipse party here. Set up a TV in the garage and have some snacks and water for the neighbors and stuff. And well, hopefully we'll be viewing it, but who knows? So, but get something good out of it. All right, then we'll call it closed. Everyone have a great Eclipse on Monday.
Okay,
Thanks for
I
all
have
your
a
help
simple
in planning
question.
these events for the last year and a half.
May I have a point? A point of question, okay?
Yeah, sure, Gamal. Yes.
Okay, yeah. As a receiver in Cairo, North Africa, how can I contribute to the eclipse to be foreseen in 8th April, next Monday? I know that I'm geographically very far away from your point, but is there any option that I can contribute as a receiver? I know that it's totally irrelevant to the eclipse.
Well, you never know. I mean, what I've gotten that question probably once a day for the past few weeks. And what I've told people, suggested that the easiest thing to do is to receive FT8 signals.
58. Yeah.
Because if you can receive FT8 and you set up WSJT to send the reception reports to PSK Reporter, that will get onto the databases that Mary Lou was talking about earlier and add to the 100 million or so spots that come in every day. But that's definitely useful and takes very little preparation.
Okay.
And sometimes
to ride on, along with that, I know that Gwyn Griffiths has looked at how the eclipse might affect signals that are received in the UK, the United Kingdom. And so he does hypothesize that you will see an effect. So I know that Egypt is not anywhere near the UK, but still there are other people who are looking at these very long distance paths.
Yeah, and I found on some of the other days that things from Hawaii, which is way off in the middle of nowhere, has very useful information. So sometimes the long ones are very good. You do it, okay?
I agree.
All right, Gamal, in fact, I'll send you the same emails I've been sending to the other folks. I will send it to you, so
Thank you.
we can all be on the same page.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
everyone. Thanks for your participation. Have a great rest of your evening. I'll get to talk to the Potomac Valley Radio Club, a group of contesters after dinner. So that should be interesting. So got an hour. All right, everyone. Take care. We'll
Thank
talk.
you.
73.
Have fun.
Bye.
Have fun.
73.